Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant-at-Arms. You can now take your post. Tonight on Hutcast, we're going to talk a little bit about minding our own business in the national event of things. Minding our own business is kind of an important thing these days, especially when we have Ukraine and Russia in a big pissing match. We don't want to be part of that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this mask mandate. Oh, what do you want to call it? A rollback? What do you want to say? Other than the CDC has made some decisions for us yet again. So stay tuned, Hutcast, coming right back. Buying a gun is no ordinary purchase. Whether you're a hunter, competitive shooter, or self-defense is your priority, there are many kinds of guns and many kinds of training programs. You use your brain all the time. You will rarely need to use your gun. Before you find yourself in a situation where you need to make a critical decision, make sure your training is the best you can get. It could be the difference between life and death, or freedom or detention. For the best quality training, check out permittocarry.us. If you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin or even Florida, give Gene German a call, 612-388-2403. That's Permit to Carry US. Or call Gene German at 612-388-2403. Welcome back, Hutcast. It is a glorious, again, Sunday afternoon. It is, birds are chirping, the wind is not bad, the temperature's right, we still got snow on the ground, but it is 2:27:22. I'm going to start this section out with a little clip. It is not my clip, it is a YouTube clip, and I want to stress upon you what they're saying in this. Now, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's a CBS World News Tonight. And this is part of the conversation we're going to have about the mask rollback, mandates, release of guidelines, whatever this is. But I want you to hear it from someone who's not me. Again, this is World News Tonight. It's a clip off of YouTube. You can get it anywhere. But let's play our version, shall we?
Now to the pandemic tonight, and with the Omicron surge pushing cases and hospitalizations to new record highs, the CDC tonight with new guidance on masks in this country, now warning that loosely woven cloth masks provide the least protection with Omicron so contagious, and that N95 and KN95 masks provide more protection, and that they're especially important for people at high risk of infection or severe disease. And tonight, as this moves across the country, in New York, the encouraging news, a glimmer of hope on all of this. Once the epicenter of this Omicron wave at the start, what the governor here now says they're seeing. Here's Ariel Reshef tonight.
Tonight, the CDC is out with that long-awaited guidance on masks, warning that loosely woven cloth masks provide the least protection, that N95 and KN95 masks might be a better option, and that these highly protective masks may be important for people in high-risk settings or at risk for severe disease. But the CDC is stopping short of urging all Americans to upgrade their masks, even though health experts have been recommending higher quality masks in the wake of Omicron.
The CDC is recognizing that N95 and KN95 masks really represent the gold standard right now. But at the same time, if those masks aren't available to you, a lower quality mask like a surgical mask or even double masking with a cloth mask still is better than no mask at all.
It comes just as the government rolls out a new program tomorrow, reimbursing insured Americans for up to 8 at-home COVID tests per month. But insurance companies warn it will take time to set up the new system.
Okay, back in on this here. Did you listen to the whole part of that? Did you listen to the part where 95 K95, we're going to roll back. The anything else, the loose stuff over your face is the least effective. They don't say it's crap. They don't say that it doesn't work. They say least effective. Look at how they word that around. Now this is a major news organization that probably should know a little better than just saying least effective. Now again, I do not own the rights to that clip. I have pillaged it from the YouTube world. It's out there for anyone to see. I am reproducing it on this show only because I do not own the rights to it, and I want you to know what these people are doing. If you haven't heard out in the world about this rollback. Now, this is a 2-day ago thing. You know, I'll give them some credit about the fact that they said no mask is worse than even a loosely mask. But we've been saying this the whole time. I mean, a loose mask that can't stop anything isn't going to stop this. And again, they're also using the sideways words of Omicron, not the other ones. Well, if Omicron was so worse than the other ones, then why do we have to have masks in the first place? I mean, I get it, the sick, the compromised. You got to have some sort of protection. But then why didn't you just go right to the NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical masks, provided by any and all preppers, stores that sell military goods? I mean, you ain't getting nothing past them, but it isn't going to help you if you make contact on your skin or rub your eye or somehow get this virus into your body. Think about the whole picture here. It's just insane, again, how they're not giving you the straight, they're giving you the spin down version of less effective. Well, it's not affected at all. It doesn't work, period. For Omicron, N95, K95, now we got a new standard. It's a gold standard. It's the big daddy. I don't know. I see the president walk around without an N95, without a K95. His black over the front, over the ears, looks cool, looks presidential. It doesn't say N95 on it unless it's made special for him. I don't know. But the rest of us slobs out in the world who don't have access to that are going to put a, what? Handkerchief over your mouth and run around? And look at the people who are pushing on this. Walk into a store. Well, walk into a store when this was at its height. At that point, you become the bad guy. How dare you ruin me because you didn't do this? You should care more about someone else than yourself. A whole different thought of theory there. How do you feel? How do you feel as a person? Do you think that you wearing a mask is going to help the next guy? Do you wear it for the next guy, or do you wear it for you? All of our intentions are certainly for ourselves first, so that we don't get us sick. And if we get sick and give it to somebody else, of course, no one wants that. But yet, their ideology of you're going to take care of me, and if you don't, you're a bastard. You're the evil in the world. You are the conservative, right-wing, radical nuts people that just want to destroy and kill our country one COVID-19 at a time. I don't believe that. I don't believe what they're saying. I don't really care what they're saying. I mean, I've still lived my life through this. I've worn a mask as little as humanly possible. I've kept myself healthy and therefore keeping you healthy for it. I'm not going to go out and just keep you healthy. I mean, if I'm sick, why would I go out and get you sick? You have some social responsibility not to get other people sick. At least I always have. And that's not changed. That hasn't changed in 100 years. If you're sick, and a lot of parents send their kids to school sick, you're the problem. You are exactly the problem. You're saying, well, I can't get my kids to a daycare because they're sick. I can't do this because they're sick. And you shove them off there so you can go to work and you can, dump the kids off on somebody while you go earn a living. Or whatever you do. Or you might go to the gym, might get your nails done. I don't know. Whatever you do with your day. But it's not what I do with my day. How dare you judge anybody for not wearing a mask and for wearing a mask? I think it was said somewhere once, I don't know, maybe like the Bible, judge not ye unless ye be judged. I'm no Bible guy, but I know a couple of things, a couple of passages, and I kind of believe them. So for you people out there, and I'm pointing fingers, and you know who you are, who think that you should, and everybody should, because we're going to save a whole entire nation, our race, the human race, by wearing a mask. Now, I didn't want to turn this into a beatdown. This is not what I was intending to do, but I keep listening to this stupid stuff in the news, and I'm studying up on it. I've studied the CDC website. And again, when these guys are first to come to the plate saying, well, they weren't effective. They weren't as effective, which in code means it didn't work at all. And we knew that because you just walk into a room, if you got one of those masks on and someone, lets some gas go and you walk in and you can smell it, that means it's not effective. So the guy in the prior room before you who toots one out and you walk into it, really? You think that's going to work? And the people have been saying it the whole time. But you had to have your crisis. You had to have your emergency. Here we are. Now, you're going to listen to us now and hear us later because even the CDC, your people, your trust the science people, says no go. Didn't work. Never did work. Well, less effective. Think about that. Think about that as a company. If you were the company owner, GE, they had a big thing over there, and they said, we're going to do this, and we're a government contractor. You have to do this. You got to make this mask work. If you don't, we're going to blah, 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 blah. How about shut up? How about find something else to do? Ain't you got work to do? At GE, don't you make like big jet engines? Don't you do stuff that you should be doing instead of worrying about a mask? I get it. It's a social thing. You reach out in the world. But this is just the caveat, people. This is the caveat to what the rest of the world think we should do it with our own lives. Because most people who vote for a living and don't work for a living thinks they can control your life because it controls them. We don't vote for a living. We work for a living. Now, let's context this. If this didn't work for a mask, what's our shots doing? Does your shot work? I've had COVID. I've been tested positive for it. And wasn't anything like the news spun up to be. I went to my doctor the other day, and I says, Doc, we call him Do, Dr. Do. I says, Do, I had it. I says, the only thing I ever had to worry about was I could smell everything, I could taste everything, I could hear everything. And about 2 weeks after it, I still had this ratty cold, and you just felt, you could wear out fast. Now, he says, I guarantee you had Omicron. Okay. Would a mask have helped that? Well, it wouldn't have hurt. Again, code words for no, the mask wouldn't help. And I like my doctor. He's a new doctor to me. He's a younger guy. Real decent, straightforward, good head on his shoulders. And then I ask a different question. I said, Dr. Do, would this mask have helped the other ones? Well, certainly, because it was less contagious. If it's less contagious, why do I need a mask? Now, put that into shot mode. Okay, we don't know if the shots do or don't work. He says they do. I get it. I mean, everybody who's had the shot had some form of a COVID-19. So the correlation I'm getting through to you guys, which I'm trying to do, is if the CDC, who trusts the science, says wear a mask and they're saying it in code don't work, what are we talking about with the shot? Do you believe your shot helped you? If it did, good for you. Do you believe that everybody should get the shot because you believe so? Well, then shame on you. I don't believe that. I'm diametrically opposed to thinking, okay, just because someone thinks I should, That's tyranny at its best. They're pushing their agenda on you, and a lot of people love to push their agenda on you. You get the mask. You've heard me say it in previous shows. You get the mask. You don't get the mask. Don't care. You get the shot. Don't get the shot. Still don't care. But when you think I should get one to protect you, now I start to care. And you shouldn't, by all means, shouldn't think that everybody should wear this mask or get that shot. So they've introduced the K95, which I have done absolutely zero research on. The N95 was a charcoal-based 3M product that had a much better fibrous material between the two layers. Great system. I get it. But if you took an N95, which I have, and we're in the cart business, and we can smell chemicals, and we can smell PFCs and OFCs from vapors and gas smell, all that stuff. Put one on, go spray some paint, and smell it. Because you can smell it. Now, if you can smell that, is it effective in an N95? Nobody wants to put their foot forward and say, 100% it's effective. In our facility, we didn't have a mask mandate. We didn't have a shot mandate. We had a Bill of Rights mandate that everybody's choice is their choice. And I am not going to be that guy who says, you're going to do this. Almost like what GE did this last week, a couple days ago. Hey, maybe we should just, let the people decide. Like the CDC said 2 days ago as well. Well, we're going to trust the companies. But, of course, we can't have this without some caveats. The caveat of, well, we're going to leave it up to you on the external, outside, upwind, out in the middle of nowhere, the rolling desert, and there's one guy, but you can take your mask off. But if you're on a subway, if you're in a toll booth, whatever, if you're in anybody where there's people, heaven forbid we actually go out and be people again, then you have to wear them. But kids don't have to wear them in schools. Hold on. K through 9 is a bunch of Petri dishes running around with just about every known and unknown virus to man. They're touching their face, they're touching each other, they're wrestling, they're fighting, they're drinking, everything out there they're doing. They're touching doorknobs. And how do you not get sick? How do you not get sick in that situation? How do you not bring it home and then bring it to the family, and the family goes sees grandma, and grandma gets sick, and you get where I'm going. Now, these little Petri dishes that run around and collect this stuff, they ain't wearing masks. CDC says no joy. You don't need them. I would think these would be the first guys on the planet that would wear them, but how do you get a kid to wear them and stay wearing them and not touching his eyes? And Now, let's spin this up in a different direction. I'm talking to some young people, these young people that stay home and work from home for a living. You can kind of guess where I'm going with this, can't you? These people who, and they're good people. I mean, hey, I get it. If I get to work at home all the time, kind of a win, especially if I don't need nothing but a computer, a mouse, and a landline to start, a DSL or whatever. I mean, internet. But now they're starting to whine. They're starting to entitle themselves to this way of working. When I told you in the beginning, when these people did this, there's going to be a time when these employers are going to say, it's enough of this crap. And they're starting to do that. Show up for work or you're fired. It's just a matter of time before these companies say, you're going to do this. Well, I'm going to work from home, or I'm going to quit. PYA Foods over in Plymouth, Minnesota. Half their staff called in, we're going to quit if you make us come back. As I told you before, I'm quitting. I would, if I was the company president of that, I would cut back production just to say, go find a job. And I hope you find the shittiest job on the planet, scooping elephant dung from some Barling 3-ring circuses, and you get to do that from home. Oh, no, you don't. You're going to have to go in. People, it's coming around. This symmetry is coming back to the people, the companies who originally designed how to work, not the government who told you not to work. Now, here in Minnesota, we've got kind of a kind of a spin up on our election scene. We've got a Gazalka coming in. He's running for governor. Good guy. I'd like to get him on the show and have his opinion on some certain things. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat senators who've got a lot of great input on stuff. I would love to say, okay, here's what we're doing on this particular subject. What do you think? There's a Dr. Dean who's running. I just, other than District 5 with Ilhan's area, I don't know how you're going to turn this state anything but red. Right now, the majority of the state is pretty blue. They're pretty open and this and that. And we've had some light politics talking in the last episode with Jai Hansen, the Hennepin County Sheriff candidate. Great guy, super good policies. I understand where he's coming from. How are we going to make all this work together? Are we going to keep pushing this mandate, the mask? Are we going to just decide what it's going to be? And again, don't get me wrong, people. I understand what a moving target is. They did not know. Give them this solace of their choices and their decisions, because they didn't have much information. But you can't come down like the hammer, shut down businesses because you're not going to wear a mask. You can't shut down school events. You can't. I mean, what did we do 2 years ago when we had the flu? We wore masks. Everybody sucked it up and we went, okay, I hope we don't get sick. Just something for you to think about, especially on the heels of the CDC saying what they said. And we called it here on Hutcast many, many episodes ago. If they worked, really, truly worked, why aren't we still doing them? No one would have been sick. Instead, it put our economy in a huge, huge hiccup. Now we have to undo. Of course, and we'll talk our state budget here in a show or two. Maybe if I get Gazalka on, that would be kind of a cool gig. Hey, well, let's talk some policy here about what we're spending on, why we have such a surplus of money. Well, I can tell you why. I'm a business owner and I pay that number. I pay that tax that's called disparity tax. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And the third time, they're putting the screws to it. So here we are, paying the number. Why? Because I don't vote for a living. I work for a living. All right, we are 21 minutes into this first section. Didn't want to get so off and yin and yang and all that stuff, but it kind of sat in my craw funny. And I thought to myself, yeah, we should probably have a conversation about this. The Jai Hansen one, great guy. Listen to him. I reached out to his opponent. Well, actually, she reached out to me and says, hey, how do I get on the show? I have yet to hear from her. She don't know how she's going to get on the show. I'm not going to beg her to sit on this show. The invitation's open. Please come on in. But you should at least, acknowledge and counter your opponent. Also, we're going to try to get current former Hennepin County Sheriff Dave Hutchinson. Dave Hutch says, yeah, I'd love to be on the show. I just want to drop out of some of the limelight for a little bit, and I'm going to hold him to that. So we're going to have him as well. All right, 22 minutes into the first segment. We will hit you soon. Stand by. Hutcast. We'll be right back. We hear a lot about air quality these days, so keeping your indoor equipment running clean and efficiently is important to your health. The experts at Dependable Heating and Cooling in Coon Rapids have been servicing the Twin City areas for more than 25 years. With the latest and most efficient technology available, they will repair or replace your equipment and keep your indoor air healthy and comfortable. Call 763-757-5040. Our team of experts is standing by, waiting to help you with all your indoor needs. Mention you've heard about this by listening to the Hutcast podcast, and you will receive a $50 off any repair. That's Dependable Heating and Cooling. 763-757-5040. Dependable Heating and Cooling. Welcome back to Hutcast, segment 2 of the 2/27/22 episode. We're going to talk a little bit about this Ukraine thing. Yes, it's in the news. It's everywhere. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. You're getting much better intel from the people out there. From the big news, well, maybe better intel. But there's some things that we got to cover here. And as a U.S. citizen, that I think I need to get off my chest. And so, maybe you have the same thought, maybe you don't. If you have a different thought, whatever, good for you. However, think about big picture here. And the big picture is pretty straightforward. We don't have a guy from Russia who decides that he just wants to stir crap up and start killing people and doing this and doing that. And I mean, who does that? Nobody in their right mind. The second most powerful nation in the world is going to decide that, hey, we're going to start kicking the 33rd most powerful nation in the world. Yeah, from 2 to number 33. And we're gonna put the screws to them, and we're gonna do this. And I can't get it in my head that Putin, not a fan, is going to just say, hey, I'm going to break you. Like in the Rocky movie, Dolph Lundgren, I'm going to break you. But he how does he do that? You can't even begin to think that way because there is stuff we don't know. This goes back to Gorbachev in 97. This starts then. Russia, wanted back then it was the USSR. When Reagan and them were doing their thing, they got along, they got their stuff together. I mean, they made a world peace, and good for them. But you have to remember back in 97, when they told Russia that they weren't going to put first strike weapons on their border, and never, just the opposite. I mean, NATO started putting first strike orders on all their borders on Russia, and they kept moving towards that east. Well, Gorbachev finally had enough, and he says, we're stopping here. We're not going to do this anymore. We're going to start with Ukraine. The Ukraine, in Putin's eyes, from what I'm reading, he didn't want it westernized. That's me and you. That's westernized. That's this country. He didn't want Ukraine to be us. Frankly, I don't blame him. I don't want us to be us. Look at the shape of our country right now. It's in shambles. So I'm sure what he's thinking is, we're not going to put up with this. We're not going to take this. You're gonna finally move your stuff out of here, or we're going to impose these movements. Now, last year, this is a whole year now that he started moving bigger equipment towards the troops, and they didn't want to be part of NATO. Russia didn't want Ukraine to be part of NATO. So they said, if you become part of NATO, we're going to invade you. But I mean, if you think about it, if you're Ukraine, if you're going to invade me because I'm going to be part of NATO, I'm going to be part of NATO. Because they're being invaded anyway. So loss to a loss, you don't have a loss. You're going to be invaded, so why wouldn't you have the help of everybody? But NATO cannot step in yet because they are not a sanctioned NATO country. That being said, in my pre-roll, I said to you, do we have business there? And I don't believe we do. I don't believe as a country that the United States is going to just cut bait and run, start putting boots on the ground, run into this crap sandwich and put us into this situation. I don't think we should. Now, I'm no historian on this. I follow the news like everybody else. I kind of follow with a little bit more prejudice than anybody else because I can't believe 99% of the stuff they say, and I filter out the last 1% to be crap. But so you got to get your news somewhere. If you get your news here, there are going to be a lot better sources for more accurate stuff. But this is my opinion. This is my opinion piece. I see it as this. Can the United States jump in? Sure. But here's how the United States is going to actually do this. This is my opinion now. Okay, we're a bunch of bleeding heart liberals. A lot of us are. A lot of the big cities, a lot of the voting public are, we got to save the earth and this, that, the other. And, people, this is a war. There's no I going to do this because it's not a war. We're not going to. They kill babies in wars. They kill people. They kill innocents. They kill women and children. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's a war. Now, the people who voted these people in to ignore the NATO, to ignore Putin, to ignore all these things, They have made a choice. They have voted these peoples in. And again, I tell you that Putin didn't want this country to be westernized because it was, at one point, it was part of their country. And I guess I get his point. Now, these people that voted these people in, this Jewish president won't leave. I'm going to fight and wear a helmet. These people that say, hey, we're going to now teach you that you should have guns, that you should learn how to do Molotov cocktails, that you should learn how to fight, didn't want people fighting over a year ago. You shouldn't have guns. You shouldn't have this, because if you overthrow the government, does this ring a bell to you guys? Because it's in this country, too. You shouldn't have a weapon of war. You shouldn't have a black, scary AR-15, M14, M4, A4, any of the military weapons, because you could use them against us. My, have times changed in Ukraine. The government, them guys, the people they voted in, are teaching them, here's how you build these. So if you see someone coming around, pop a cap in their butt. Think about that in just our own context of things. One of our friends says, we're not trying to take your guns. Well, you can guess what side of the fence she's on. We just don't think you need weapons of war. Who needs an AR-15? Well, I guess Ukraine needs an AR-15 right about now. And they need a whole bunch of them. Because they're running around with cardboard or, what do you call those things? Plywood, cutout AK-47s to make it appear that they have some coverage. Because they don't have guns. They have fake guns. That's nothing new. They used to do that back in World War I, World War II, where they faked a gun. Everybody walked around with it. If you were a meter maid, you had a gun in your hand, so they thought your troops were more masked. Putin put one heck of a display on. He had psyops. He was twisting their brain before they even got to this point. And remember, they voted these people in. They thumbed their nose at the NATO. They made choices. These are the choices that I want to get through to you guys. When you vote choices that are passive-aggressive, when you vote choices that are scary to a democracy, whether you're red or blue, if you vote those choices and you don't have leaders that are strong, that will protect us, you and me, with a military might number one on the planet, this is what happens. The number two guys are waiting for that spot. They're prowling around, and when they see that moment of opportunity, they strike and grab it. Putin did that. What are we going to do? Sanction them? Oh, wait, we're doing that. Yeah. We're going to sanction them. Now, I told you earlier, my thought was, here's what they're going to kind of do. They're going to put a face on it. The news is going to spin this around. They're killing women and children. I'm sorry, that's what war does. It kills everybody. That's the point of the war. So they can overcome, occupy. This is nothing new in war. They're going to put it on the world stage. And then they're going to see things. And they're going to they kept playing this one clip over and over and over on every news channel, organization. This looked like a Su-27 flanker coming in, dropping a missile 3-4 doors down from this guy who's filming it. And all you can hear in the background is this kid screaming. Caption. Homeowners scared to death of current situation. Kids screaming. Lives at stake. Yep. Every time. I don't know about you, but I'd be kind of scared as well. Not kind of. I'd be scared crapless. If I got an Su-27 flanker dropping ordnance 2 houses down, your house is shaking, and you're inside it, oh yeah, you have my attention. I don't know if I'd be up on the second floor filming it. I would be duck and cover at that point, but these people did this. Now, every news organization, every Wire, every BBC, everybody's got this same clip. And everybody's got relatively same caption. But they're forgetting this is a war. This is an occupancy. This is not a, hey, please, can you stop this? We're coming in and we're going to do this by force. Let's look at it on a big scale. Do you think Putin's afraid of us? Because I don't. I think he could absolutely give two craps less about what's going on in our government right now because of our current administration. He could have planned this when Donald the Duck Trump was in, but he didn't. Remember, this goes back to 97. Why didn't he do it with Obama? I don't know. Did Obama scare him? I believe Obama scares him more than Sleepy Joe. So why now? Why would Putin say, I'm going to stir this up right now? Well, it's 1 year into it. Everybody's got an armchair quarterback. Oh, the president can't handle this. The president better not be handling anything about this other than, okay, do we want to be part of this war? Case in point. We have food drinks with my neighbor. We hang out. We talk politics. We're good friends. And their daughter comes back from school all scared because one of her teachers says, this will put us in a nuclear war. Scare. The sky is falling. Really? Well, I'm in an area, and if you know my area, and if you're that teacher that said that to that kid, you're part of the problem. They shouldn't say crap to these kids other than the truth. Don't substitute it with CRT-ish, crappish, lipstick on a pig. Don't do that. These kids are scared enough, and they're young, and they don't know what's going on in the world. They just know by what you tell them. So shame on you. What kind of dork teacher would do that? You know who you are. I hope you listen to the show, and I hope you message me because I'll give you an earful in person. Shut up. So, back to this whole total crap sandwich. Everybody's scared. We don't have missiles dropped on our head, but they do over there. They can't stop them. And we can't move in to stop them because by us stopping them, it will be blood on our hands to do so. And you think Russia's going to play any games with us? We're the number one power in the world. Oh, by the way, we don't like your attitude, so we're going to do what? Hand-to-hand combat? We're going to start moving and troops and all that. They don't need that. They're going to park a nuclear sub off each coast of our deal. We won't even know they're there. They'll launch that bastard, and here we are. We're done. We're 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. They have absolutely zero fear at that point because they've got nothing to lose. We have everything to lose. If we engage this war, we will lose our butt. All our kids, all our servicemen, women. Do you want that? Do you want that? People vote for a living. Vote for the weirdest thing. We need to vote common sense. And again, why didn't the duck do it? Why didn't Donald Duck say, hey, Putin, knock it off? And Sleepy Joe's going to what? Cut off his sugar rations? Knock back some salt? Hey, you're going to get no oil. Oh, big deal. We're a producer of oil. Do we care what they do with their oil? I'm kind of lit on this too. You can hear it in my voice. If you've listened to my show, you just understand that sometimes, common sense is like way gone. But you guys have to remember, Putin is not in that country because he had nothing to do last week. He kept giving them choices. Hey, knock it off, knock it off. Up yours, knock it off. Okay, party's over. They could not diplomacy their way out of this situation. And on the world stage, what is the country that's getting their butt kicked doing? What is Ukraine doing? We need help, members of parliament. How dare you let us get our butts kicked? They're crying and whining and pissing and moaning now. Well, I guess you should have made different votes. Yes, it's a bad situation. You are in a bad situation. But don't drag us into your quagmire. We don't need this bad situation. We don't need to go to war with the second most powerful country on this planet. Because just like in that movie, what was it, 1997, Mads, Mutual Assured Destruction, Matthew McConaughey, what's this kid's name? It was a really good show. It was a Whopper, War Simulator. It was a computer that lost its way. It had actually control codes to these computers, to these launch codes, and could launch. And they played this game in the end, which was tic-tac-toe, to realize that no one's going to win. And they didn't. No one won. So the computer had enough common sense, well, if you can say that, forethought, program, knowledge, whatever it is, to say, look, this is a no-win deal. This will be no win for us, people. This will be no win for anybody in any country I'm speaking to. Because if you have the two most powerful military governments in our globe fighting, the fallout will be astronomical. The political alignments will be lines drawn. And that's a no-win. Again, this is my personal opinion. If you were Putin, would you be scared of the U.S.? Not even a minute. We gave him a moment of pause. Ukraine gave him a moment of pissed off. But, when Gorbachev was in, he says, we're going to start moving these back. We're going to start stopping to keep this, this accord going. And they never did it. And now Russia's had enough. Well, I'm not a big Putin fan. And I understand his point. But he just, people don't start picking sides, because there isn't a side here. There is only done and not done. And what they didn't do is they weren't done with this. They kept these strike weapons at Russia's border. Imagine if you were in California, literally the width of a road, and they got strike weapons at you. Well, mind you, today's strike weapons are a whole lot more advanced, and they're intercontinental, and they're even continental sometimes now. And we even got space launch. So we're always under this umbrella of going to happen. But these guys are a little bit closer. And if Putin thinks that the Ukrainians were starting to adopt our westernized thought, I guess I see his point. So tell your leaders, tell your state, tell your reps, we need to mind our own business right now until we find out that we cannot ignore crimes of military, whatever. And I do believe that the Russian people will not be one of those, I don't know what you call it, Geneva Convention violators. Because I think that they're kind of okay with not, ruining that. But again, in acts of war, all's fair in love and war. So, just an idea, just a thought. Just sit back and, pay attention to look at the big picture. Because that's kind of where it all goes. And everybody's asking me, so why are they there? Why are they doing this? Just do some research. They had a chance to get diplomatic, to get out of it. The diplomatic way of saying, hey, look, we shouldn't be doing this, but yet they're there. I don't know. It's a very difficult spot. This is a moving target. It's going to change hourly, if not minutely. Putin's going to finally get to the point where either he's really going to make it happen or he's not. Well, what can the West do? The West can mind their own business. The West can stay out of it until they have a reason. The West should have made, or now you can't make a country, urged a country, the Ukraine, to be part of NATO at the time. And if it was in fear of the Western teaching them the ideas to radicalism, whatever that is, then you're going to get invaded anyway. At that point, what's the difference? You're invaded, you're not invaded. How far will Russia go? That's a pretty good question. Russia had the nuts to do this. Well, what's going to stop them? And we didn't scare them to begin with because our Our executive branch is weak as snot. So if they're that weak, what would you care? When would you strike? And strike when the duck was in? Donald Duck says, hold on. He probably would have pushed that button. Just like Gorbachev and Reagan back in the 80s. Been there, had the t-shirt. Watch that on TV. So before you guys start poking at Russia, bad bear, bad this, bad, ask yourself why he's there. Do the research. Hey, why is he doing this? Because if I was the president of the United States and I had Russia parking strike weapons on my border, like say California, I would certainly have a different outlook on things. You cannot live your life in fear. You can live it in MAD, mutually assured destruction, but fear is a different thing. So 21 minutes more than I want to do this segment on it. Hope you enjoyed today's show. I didn't want to spin it sideways, but we did the first segment. Mask mandate stuff. 2/27/22 is today's episode. We are season 3, episode 6, 7? I don't know. I keep losing track. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you've learned a little bit today. The guys in the machine shop, we love you, man. We appreciate you tuning in. Keep the feedback coming. We appreciate it. You also said you couldn't wait to hear what I was going to say about the war. I don't know if I know enough about. And to live the past is just you got to study it. You got to study the past because you're going to get pinched in the future. Study your history. Don't let someone cancel it on you. 22:59, 23:59. We're out of here. Thank you, Hutcast. Hopefully we'll have some more candidates coming on the show next week. Maybe. If I can get them to figure out how they want to have it. And we will talk some county politics. Hutcast, have a great Sunday. And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.